guys, Nicole with the Mindful Maze. Today we're going to talk about buckets. So, did you fill a bucket today? It's actually a children's book written by Carol McLeod, I think. It's based on How Full Is Your Bucket, a book written in the 60s, I believe, maybe the 70s, by Donald Clifton. So it's a very simple but really profound concept. It shows how even the smallest interactions we have with other people has a very large impact on our productivity, our relationships, and our longevity. The concept is so simple that a 2-year-old can understand it, but it's so profound that therapists use this concept with their adult patients to help them get past some of their challenges. In the children's book, Carol explains that we each have this imaginary bucket. When your bucket is full, it means you're happy, you like yourself, you like your family, and you feel good. And that's what we want everyone's bucket to be like. When your bucket isn't full, you're not having a good day. You're sad, you're lonely, you're afraid, maybe even you're angry. So this bucket is a tangible way to visualize your emotional and mental health. Are you a bucket filler or are you a bucket dipper? Every time you do something nice for someone, you're adding a positive emotion or thought to their bucket. And when you do that, you automatically fill your own bucket as well. It makes you feel good to do stuff for other people. It makes you feel good to be kind to other people. This concept helps you understand how your words and your actions affect other people. And in reverse, how other people's words and actions affect you. So each of us have this invisible bucket. And it's constantly being filled or empty based on our experiences. When your bucket is full, you feel great. When your bucket is empty, you feel awful. And each one of us also has an invisible dipper. When you use your dipper to fill other people's buckets by saying something positive or doing something that elicits positive emotions for that person, you also fill your own bucket. But when we use our dipper to dip from other people's buckets by saying or doing things that decrease their positive emotions, we're also dipping from our own bucket. So be a bucket filler. A full bucket gives you a positive outlook on life and a renewed energy. Every drop you put in that bucket makes you feel stronger and more optimistic. When you fill somebody else's bucket with a smile or a hug or a kind gesture, you will fill your own bucket. The more buckets you fill, the quicker your bucket fills up. You can never be too full. Don't dip. Try not to say anything rude or mean or hurtful, because that will dip into somebody else's bucket. And when you dip into somebody else's bucket, you dip into your own. The more you dip into buckets, the emptier your bucket will become. If you know people that seem like they're always dipping in other people's buckets, it's a good clue that their bucket isn't very full. And if you make a mistake and you do dip into somebody's bucket, make sure you apologize. Keep your lid on. So all of our imaginary buckets also have lids. People that are hurting inside often say mean things that can hurt other people. Keeping your lid on means not to believe or listen to the mean things that are said to us. If you believed everything that negative someone said about you, or if they made fun of you, your bucket would always be empty. And when you think about people with empty buckets, it's easy to kind of feel sorry for them. Just don't let them empty your bucket. Keep your lid on. When your bucket is empty, it contains few, if any, positive thoughts or feelings. When your bucket is empty, it's easy to feel sad and lonely and anxious and nervous and afraid and sometimes even physically ill. And when you feel like that, it's easy to believe that life is just too challenging and that nothing that you attempt will be successful. And an empty bucket can affect your behavior and cause you to empty the buckets of those around you. So if you have an empty bucket, the easiest way to fill it up is to start by filling other people's buckets. Any actions or words that you say to someone that you care about, actions or words that show that you care about someone, saying or doing something kind, giving someone a heartfelt smile, helping without being asked, giving sincere compliments, and showing other people respect. There are hundreds of wonderful ways to fill buckets. And because your bucket represents your emotional and mental health, it's very important that you protect it, that you learn to keep those good thoughts and feelings you've collected. That lid represents a mental shield against the negative and hurtful things that people say and do. The lid represents a mental shield against anything that would try to dip into your bucket. When you consciously train your brain to pause when you start to feel the negative emotions, the hurt, the uncomfortableness, anger, pain, you can prevent your bucket from being dipped. This is mindfulness. Stopping, taking a breath, observing your feelings, and letting them go, and proceeding. Protecting those positive thoughts in your bucket, it's not always easy. It will help if you're aware of some of life's major disappointments that everybody goes through at some point in their life. These are just things to expect and accept. Some people will be your good friends, and some people won't. Sometimes even those good friends and family, they will let you down. And sometimes you will let them down. Sometimes you'll make the team, sometimes you'll get the promotion, and sometimes you won't. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes the people that you really like don't like you back. And that's okay. Some people will judge you before they even know you. Sometimes you'll work really hard and study really hard on a project or a test. Sometimes you'll end up with a good grade. Sometimes your project will be a failure. And that's okay. Sometimes things in life are just not fair. No one gets to choose the body or the talents that they were born with. They can only choose how they use them. And I want you to start each and every morning filling your own bucket. Before you get out of bed, I want you to sit up in your bed, put your hand over your heart, and say, "Good morning, Nicole. I love you." And if you think the "I love you" part is too kitschy, or you're not comfortable with that, or it feels too forced, just start with "Good morning." Good morning, Nicole. It will elicit positive emotions, and it will start filling your bucket for the day. It's quite evident that we are in charge of how we see ourselves. We can be passive, and we can wait for other people to fill our bucket, or we can be proactive and go about the business of filling other people's buckets, knowing that it's going to fill our buckets in return. I challenge you to fill as many buckets as you can. Your reward will be seeing the joy on complete strangers' faces. And by the way, you'll come away with a full bucket too. Thanks, guys.